Hi, it's Bronwyn here for another episode of Black Mental Health is Black Health, where we talk about all things related to our mental health and our physical health because we just can't separate them. Well, tonight you've got just me, and I really want to focus on the wellness and the relationship between mental and physical health. Usually, when you think about talking about self care, you're going to get tips for self care. Well, we've done that before. I want to dig a little deeper and look at that relationship between physical and mental health. After all, the title of the show is Black Mental Health is Black Health. Health is health. And tonight, that's going to be our focus. So, you know how we get started with some deep cleansing breaths. It's the end of the day, good or bad, what has happened, you made it through this day. Let's take some deep cleansing breaths to renew, refresh, and relax. So, lightly put your hands on your stomach. And when I say breathe in, you're going to breathe in so deeply you feel your chest and your stomach rise because air is filling them. That air and that oxygen is going throughout your body. Let's get started with three deep, deep breaths. Breathe in, two, three, four, out, two, three, four. In, two, three, four, out, two, three, four. One more deeper. In, two, three, four, out, two, three, four. Just those deep cleansing breaths that allow you to have that moment of woosah. Yeah, I'm feeling a little better. I'm feeling a little less stressed. But when I thought about the show tonight, I was looking at so many different things, and we do have some exciting guests coming up in the near future. But I always look at it's what month? Well, this is a new one, Self Care Awareness Month. And we talked about self care actually earlier in the year, about 6 months ago. But what I wanted to look at tonight was not just tips to managing your self care, but digging a little deeper at the relationship between physical and mental health and how that relationship of wellness is interrelated and how we're going to take care of ourselves. So I have three, maybe four S's we're going to look at. The first one is screening, the second one is sugar, and the third one is sleep. Now, that might sound a little odd to talking about self care. What does that have to do with anything? Well, let's dive right in and find out. The first S is screening. Screening is all about our prevention. You know, there are so many reasons we can avoid screening. And I'm specifically talking about screening for cancer. Nobody wants to do that because, oh, it's just too much. But when we do screenings, man, we can save ourselves a lot. I forgot to start off with the definition of self care. You know, I'm big on definitions, so we're all on the same page. So let me back up and give you that before I dive into my S's. And I'm using a definition of self care from the World Health Organization, WHO. They define self care as the ability of individuals, families, and communities to promote health, prevent disease, maintain health, and cope with illness and disability with or without the support of a healthcare provider. Hmm. Now, it's a lot in that definition, so I'm going to break it down a little bit for you. And for me, when I read it, the ability of individuals, families, and communities to promote health. What that suggests to me is that when we think about self care, managing our well being, physical and mental, it's not by ourselves. That's why it's individual. You're managing it, but you also want to manage your family and your community, your friends, your loved ones. It takes all of that to promote health. So when we think about self care, it's about us, but it's impacted by our families, our friends, and our communities. So we want to look at preventing disease, maintaining our health. If it's good, we need to keep it. But we also have to cope with illnesses and disability with or without a healthcare provider because there's a lot we can do just for ourselves. So that's the framework that I'm working for tonight when we talk about self care. So I will reference how it impacts you, your family, your community. So let's start just with that when before I get to those S's I told you about. Um, when we look at it, our families' wellness, their health, mental and physical, can impact ours. If you've ever had a friend or a loved one who had a chronic illness and you were there for them, it can impact your mental well being because it's hard to watch someone go through a difficult time in their life. It can impact your physical being because sometimes we can be so caught up in that other person that we love, caught up in their illness. It can affect our sleeping, it can impact our eating, it can impact our mood. We may become depressed because we're dealing with their illness. So that's where that family and loved one and community can impact our wellness. When we think about self care and community, there are some people that live in communities that aren't safe. There are people who live in communities that don't have access to things they need, such as a grocery store, a regular, just good old grocery store with fresh fruits and vegetables that's there. Not everybody has access to that. So the community you live in can impact how you're able to practice self care. So self care is so broad. It encompasses so much, and I just want to put that into perspective. So there's some things that are out of our immediate hands, such as our community. Things in our community, some things we don't have the ability to readily change, but we work toward making that happen. So all of this plays into caring for ourselves. So I said we're going to look at some S's. And the first one is screening. Hmm, cancer screening? Wow. People don't want to do it. Why? It's too expensive. It's too scary to find out. What if I get screened and find out I have cancer? Or the third one I've heard, if it doesn't bother me, I won't bother it. I'll find out when I find out if something's wrong. Well, let's look at all of those. And I will tell you that, wow, none of them are valid reasons not to practice self care. Now, the first one is real, it's too expensive. But right now, we're only talking about just screening to find out. So I, like everybody else, I can go put it in Google and just see what happens. I entered into Google free cancer screenings near me. One website that popped up was preventcancer.org. That's preventcancer.org. Man, this website was amazing. They have links to screenings for free or low cost mammograms, pap smears, digital rectal exams, colonoscopies, and there's some other cancer screenings that are intertwined in there. Those are the ones that were right on top. It was amazing what they have. Oh, also lung cancer, prostate cancer, and skin cancer. They're right there. When you're on there, you can click on any one of those and you put in your zip code, it will find free or low cost screenings near you. That's preventcancer.org. Prevention is important. When we know something's going on, we can fix it or we can at least work on it. Now, African Americans die at a high rate with various cancers. Some of it is we find out too late. Maybe we don't get screened. Some of it is just the healthcare system and the inadequate ways we're treated. But if you find out, you'll know what battle you're fighting. That takes care of the too scary. I just don't want to know. Not knowing doesn't make it go away. Not knowing actually makes it worse. Because if it was a cancer in your body and you could stop it early, you're better off than letting it grow. Cancer can be staged. You're typically better off in stage 1 than stage 4. So it's scary to find out. However, it's necessary. If it doesn't bother me, I won't bother it. Well, it's bothering you, whether you know it or not. So screenings, those annual screenings, there are, you can look up what screenings do I need. There are organizations that will tell you, and I won't go through each of them, but there are some screenings that actually start in your 20s. From your 20s all the way up, you'll find a list of screenings by decade, different cancer screenings by decade. Yeah, it's scary, but if you're going to practice self care and take care of you, you've got to practice some precaution, some screening, some prevention. Um, Screening might not necessarily prevent it, but it'll let you know what's going on. It can prevent things from getting worse. Who wants things to get worse? As I said, African Americans, we die at a higher rate. Um, Part of the battle is getting screened. Another S for you is sugar. Now, I'm sure you're like, okay, you really gonna tell me about sugar. We're talking about mental wellness and physical wellness. I kind of get the physical wellness about sugar. Mental wellness, yes. Sugar has a direct impact on our mental and physical well being, the consumption of sugar, anyway. So, studies show that there's a strong correlation between um, sugar and our mental health. I'll explain why in just a minute. But first, let's look at the obvious, the physical health. We can all know that in the African American community, diabetes runs rampant, and people with diabetes do have to monitor their sugar intake. We know that too much sugar intake can impact your body physically, whether you have diabetes or not. So we get the physical thing. Doesn't mean that we stop consuming sugar, but we understand. But let's look at just the physical aspect. That old adage, "You are what you eat," it's true. It continues to be true. What goes in your mouth has a definite impact on your physical and mental well-being. There are studies that say, if you, for instance, if you just at the end of the day, you're down, I'm tired. Oh, let me go have a piece of candy, get that sugar to pep me up. For me, I'll be honest, it's a Dr. Pepper. That's why I limit myself to one a month. Because I'm stressed, I'm tired, I'm upset, I'm whatever, it will be a Dr. Pepper. So I have to limit those. I'm down to once a month. I'm back to once a month, and I'm going to enjoy and savor every moment. But when you have that moment of that sugar high, what happens? Yes, you get a spike in your sugar, but then you get a drop. And when you get that drop, what happens is it can impact your mood negatively. That crash you get after you stop eating after the sugar is kind of out of your system can cause moodiness, depressed mood, or anxiety. What happens is it interferes with the neurotransmitters in your brain. And the neurotransmitters, these are the ones that are going to help maintain a stable mood. So when you get that, it goes up and then it drops. That has a negative impact on your overall well being. So, yeah, those sugary snacks that make you feel good in the moment don't help you emotionally. Those sugary snacks that help you feel good in the moment don't help you physically. Um, there are a lot of studies about what sugar does physiologically, but I'm seeing more and more about sugar and depression. Overconsumption of sugar can increase inflammation in the body and alter the gut microbiome. So what happens is this is going to disrupt the physiological process in your body. There's a whole thing on gut health, and we're going to talk about that in the near future. Just what does that really mean? Just know that sugar negatively impacts your gut health. Um, and it's thought that some of these changes can contribute to a depressed mood. So, sugar, as much as we may love it, it's not good. Also, there are numerous studies that talk about the addictive nature of sugar, which is why, you eat a little, I feel good. Again, it's that high. But the part of our brain that likes the sugar is the part that can address those addictive issues. So, yes, sugar can be an addictive um, substance. And you see what negative things it does to your body. So, it's really best to limit the amount of sugar. Now, I'm not big on saying totally stop. And there's some people, yeah, we don't need it in our body at all. But at the same time, moderation. So I have that one Dr. Pepper a month and I savor every sip. Now, if I'm traveling on the road, I'm going to have a Dr. Pepper. It's just my joy food. So if I have to drive more than 3 hours, give me a Dr. Pepper. Just because, no real reason, but I'll admit I will still do it. But I'm not depriving myself. I'm saying this is what I want. This is what I'm going to have, but it is not going to be an everyday thing because that sugar can negatively impact physically and mentally. So when we're talking tonight about self-care, it's about what's mentally and physically, physiologically impacting our body and our brain. And another S I want to look at is sleep. How many of you out there think you get enough sleep? Hmm. I'm not going to address how many hours we need. At certain ages, it changes. But I will say, studies show that most Americans are not getting adequate sleep. And there is sleep and there is rest. We don't get either. So, what are some benefits? Why do we need enough sleep? I'm good. I wake up in the morning. I'm good. I got 4 hours of sleep. I'm good. Probably not enough. So, how does sleep impact our brain? Because we're talking about that brain health, that mental well being. Well, when we're getting enough sleep, it can improve your brain's overall performance. It can improve your mood and it can improve your physical health just by getting sleep. When you sleep, you allow the brain basically to remove toxins that build up during your waking hours. So it's like cleaning it out. You're washing it out. You're sleeping it, those toxins are going to remove, it's going to re-energize. Enhancing cognitive functions and learning and memory storage is also something that happens when we're sleeping. Here's a direct relationship to our mental health. When another benefit to sleeping is balancing our emotional state and helping us focus and concentrate. You ever, find yourself, especially by the end of the day, oh, I'm just, what was I thinking? What was I doing? You find it hard to concentrate. And maybe that's following 2 or 3 nights where you only had 4 hours of sleep. Your brain has not had a chance to regroup. So it's going to be harder to focus, harder to concentrate. And as the day goes on, it gets harder and harder. Um, Sleep allows your body to recharge, allows your mind to recharge. It leaves you refreshed and alert when you awake. Without enough sleep, the brain can't function properly. This can impair your ability to concentrate, think clearly, and process memories. So you just don't function as well overall when you're not getting enough sleep. The other thing with sleep and mood, man, they are definitely related. Um, Sleep connects to, well, inadequate sleep can cause more stress. Healthy sleep is associated with enhanced well being, mental well being, as well as physical well being. So you sleep, you feel better. There are some people who suffer from chronic insomnia. This can actually increase the risk of developing mood disorders, such as anxiety and depression. You don't get enough sleep, your anxiety and your depression can sleep. But think about it, when you're tired and just tired, I haven't had enough sleep. We can go through this time. Man, I had 3 hours of sleep last night. Night before that, I only had two. Well, I got five last night. When it's this cumulative point of not getting enough sleep. When you're in that vein of I didn't get enough sleep, it can easily lead to depression or anxiety because you're not thinking clearly. Our anxiety could be that, oh, I'm worried. Am I going to do this? Am I going to remember? Oh, did this happen? And the anxiety can build upon itself because our brain has not rested enough, can't make good choices because it hasn't been refueled. Poor sleep, um, throughout just a habit of getting poor sleep, can be helped through different ways. You can practice relaxation. You can go to bed earlier. You can work on turning off anything electronic for an hour before you go to sleep. Now, I know many of us, and I'll say us, I'm going to watch TV to settle down, then I'll turn it off and go to sleep. But if you're someone who is dealing with sleep issues, probably not the best thing. Being able to unplug and relax can allow you to have a better quality of sleep. So it's not just that you're in the bed for 8 hours. Are you getting sleep? And what is the quality of your sleep? Hmm. The last thing I want to address, the last S on my list of things to help you improve your self care for mental health and physical health is socialization. Socialization, yes. When we looked at the World Health Organization's definition of self care, it says the ability of individuals, families, and communities to promote health, prevent disease, maintain health. Families and communities, that's where our socialization comes in. It is a personal belief that we really aren't meant to live life alone. So, what if I'm an introvert? I don't need to be around people. Well, again, I like reading studies and seeing what they say, and it's okay to be an introvert. There is no benefit to being an introvert or an extrovert. It is who you are, and the world needs both. However, both personalities need some socialization. One of the things we found out during COVID, that especially for those who were introverts, it made it even harder for them to get out still today because those who were locked in alone and work from home and still work from home and already had an introvert personalities, what I'm seeing in my practice is that they want to get out but can't. So there's this desire. I don't need to be out every day, but no, you can find all of these reasons. And so it's an uneasiness with, do I get out and socialize with people, or do I stay here and hang with people? It's a conundrum for them. It's hard, but we all need some socialization. What can that do? Well, on a practical sense, if you have that one or two friend, family member who knows you, they can check you. You want someone who can, I don't think you don't look right. It may be physical, it may be mental. You might have someone who can say, you seem a little depressed. We need to talk about it. Maybe you need to talk to somebody, someone who can check you, or someone you can say, I've got this pain that's worrying me. I just don't know. I'm scared to go to the doctor. So maybe they'll go with you. So that socialization helps how you interact with others, what people are going to pour into you. And vice versa. You want to be able to be the one to pour into them as well. So that socialization is important. Um, they can just be that sounding board. Sometimes we need to just vent. I call it verbal vomit. You just need to get everything out. Ooh, I said it. Okay, I'm better. Just to do that. And then there's just social interactions, being with other people, having fun. There's value in just being silly, having a laugh, getting outside, being in the company of others in just a fun social setting. So, as I recap The 4 S's of self-care. First, screening. Know what might be going on in your body. Research and find out. I'm 28, I'm 38, I'm 48, I'm 58, I'm 68, I'm 78. What screenings do I need? What cancer screenings do I need? Know your family's cancer or overall health history. Are there things you need to be screened for other than cancer, but knowing my family has an issue with this, so I probably need to check it out. Remember, preventcancer.org is going to have a list of free or low cost things in your area. The next S was sugar. As much as we like that wonderful addictive substance, it can negatively affect us physically and mentally. It can lead to depression, anxiety, overweight, higher blood sugar levels. I can go on and on. Have a little, but not a lot. Sleep. This one you can have a lot instead of a little. That sleep is going to improve your brain function. It's going to improve your ability to your mood, because when you won't be I didn't mention this, we can be hangry. I say sometimes we can be slangry. What's that? I didn't get enough sleep. And so my mood is just foul. And everything you say or do gets on my nerves. So that's impacting that mood because you're just in a foul mood because you didn't get enough sleep. And the last one was socialization. Yeah, we were meant to interact with others. Be in community. Find ways to hang out with friends. Find a friend. There was an old line from a song: people who need people are the luckiest people in the world. Well, you know what? We all need people. Whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, you need someone around. Well, those are our tips for managing your self care, being well, practicing wellness. Not just tips, which we've done before to healthcare, but looking at that physical and mental reasons to practice self care. We like to end with a call to action. And this is our call to action. Take care. Number one, take care of yourself. You are the only you in the whole wide world. God made you, He broke the mold. There's not even identical twins, there are differences. Number two, remember what we feed our body impacts our mental and physical health. Now, when I say what we feed our body, that's what we physically eat, what we feed our brain by what we watch on television, by what we read, what we listen, what we consume. So, whatever you feed your body will impact your physical and mental health. If you want to practice self care, think about, what am I feeding my body? And my last call to action, which has been for a long time and probably will be forever: vote, vote, vote. Now, we are in a presidential election year and people are thinking about voting for president, but you've got to vote that's top ballot, but you've got to vote down ballot. The things that those people lower on the ballot or have the impact they have on your life can be even greater than the top ballot. So I say become an educated voter. Don't just vote because someone says it. You can go to vote411.org and see what's going to be on your ballot. Who are the people on your ballot? Vote for yourself and your community. We talked about individuals, families, and communities. Vote with that in mind. Make sure you're still on the roll. Many people have been purged in states like Texas. So vote, vote, vote. Be an educated voter. Make sure you're a registered voter and get out there and vote. Well, I will see you next week. We have some interesting topics coming up, such as just what is Project 2025? I've heard so much about. I have consulted with some experts and they will be here to talk to you. Well, I am Bronwyn, Miss B, the Black Couch Therapist, here to help you become a better you. I'll see you next week for another installment of Black Mental Health is Black Health. Bye now and have a thriving,